Well, g'day curd nerds. Today we're making Colwick cheese. Now, Colwick cheese is a very old English recipe. So made in the town of Colwick. Those who are not from the UK would probably pronounce it Colwick, because that's how it's spelt. But having been there once or twice, kind of know they dropped the W's in some of those names. It's from the very good cheese making book, Homemade Cheese, written by Paul Thomas. This is a really good reference guide for home cheeses. The recipes are rather large, so I scaled this down from a 3-gallon recipe. And let me just read a little bit about this cheese. It says that this soft, fresh cheese frequently appears in old cheese making textbooks, though its production has all but died out until a few years ago when there was a revival in interest. The town which Colwick is named is in Nottinghamshire and is traditionally associated with the making of Stilton. Nottinghamshire being one of the 3 counties in England in which that famous cheese may be made. Colwick, as locals will be quick to point out, should be pronounced Colwick, C-O-L''ICK, rather than Colwick or Colwick. Anyway, so it's got some nice little, it's got a nice little background. Been there for up to, well, I think about 500 years old, this recipe is, and it is one of the simplest farmhouse cheeses that I've ever made. So without further ado, let me show you how to make Colwick. So before you start making your Colwick cheese, sanitize all of your equipment. I'm boiling all of my stainless steel stuff and the cheesecloth and laying it out on a nice clean tea towel. So the ingredients for Colwick is 4 litres or 1 gallon of cow's milk. I'm using pasteurised unhomogenised, 1/16 of a teaspoon of flavour, 1/4 of a teaspoon or 1.25 millilitres of single strength liquid rennet. I'm using IMCU 200 to 280 strength, and that's diluted in 1/4 cup of non-chlorinated water. 1/4 of a teaspoon or 1.25 millilitres of calcium chloride. That's a 30% solution, diluted in 1/4 cup of non-chlorinated water. And 2 teaspoons of cheese salt, or any non-iodized salt. So I've got my sink area all set up there and sanitized, just putting my boiled cheesecloth into the colander, and I've got my precision cooker. I'm using a Inkbird 308, and I've got that attached to the side of the sink. Just pouring the boiling water. I've got a trivet in the sink, then I put the pot on there. And you can see that all set up. Now, we're going to add the milk to the pot. And we're going to heat the milk to 30 to 31 Celsius or 86 to 88 Fahrenheit. I'm just pouring the 4 litres of milk in there. Pop the lid on top. Now I'm just going to fill up the sink with some cooler water, and I've set the temperature to 31.5 degrees on the precision cooker. It won't get much hotter than that. Now we're going to add the calcium chloride to the milk as I'm heating it up. Calcium chloride needs about 30 minutes before the calcium ions start to bond into the milk, giving back some extra soluble calcium so that the rennet will set. So make sure you do that at least 30 minutes before you add the rennet. Just checking the temperature there. Yep, we've reached 30 degrees Celsius or 86 Fahrenheit. That's spot on. So now we can continue. Just stirring the cream back into the milk before I proceed with the next step. So now we're going to add the starter culture. And as I mentioned, I'm using flavour. So I'll measure that out and just sprinkle that over the surface of the milk. So we're going to allow the culture to rehydrate for 5 minutes. Pop the lid back on. So 5 minutes later, we're just going to stir the cultures in, and we're going to allow the milk to ripen for 1 hour. So 1 hour later, the milk has acidified a little bit, and this is going to help the rennet set the cheese. So quick stir. Now we're going to add the rennet solution. Just pour that in so you can see it. There we go. And stir for no more than 1 minute. So we're going to pop the lid on and let the milk set for 1 hour. This will allow enough time for the rennet to do its work and set a nice firm curd. So we're just going to check for a clean break, not using a knife or anything, just the side of the spoon. And yeah, it splits nicely, nice and clean. Perfect. So now I'm going to dismantle all of the heating apparatus that I've got there, just taking the water out of the water bath, removing the precision cooker, putting that to the side there. And I've set up my colander and I've put a loose weave cheesecloth in it, and now I'm going to ladle the curds into the cloth-lined colander. So there's no cutting of curds in this cheese recipe. It is so simple. So just scooping chunks of curds and putting it into the cheesecloth. So all out, there we go. So to keep any beasties off, I'm just folding over a little bit of the loose cheesecloth over the top of the colander. I'm going to let that drain for 1 hour. You can see it dripping there. It'll shrink a fair bit in that time. So now, after the 1 hour, you can see it shrunk a fair bit. We're going to tie with a Stilton knot. So this is where you gather 3 of the corners and hold them up, and you get the 4th corner and you wrap that around like a piece of rope. And you can just continue to wrap it around, or you can just tuck it in underneath itself. And this forms a little bag, and it assists a little bit with drainage. And because you've got this Stilton knot in the top, you're not going to get a indentation in the top of the cheese as you would if you tied opposing corners of the bag. So just let that drain some more. So I'm going to let that drain for between 12 to 24 hours until the pH of the curds is at 5.0. It reached 5.0 at about the 18-hour mark. Now I just used that rather large Edam mould there because I wanted the sides to come up a little bit more. So I just put the curd, you can see that it's a nice shape. I was going for the aesthetic. So I'm undoing the Stilton knot there, taking it out of the cheesecloth, and putting it on I've got a bamboo board there that's been sanitised. Pop that down, and now we're going to sprinkle 1 teaspoon of salt over the top of the cheese, just over the surface. So just spread that out with the hand so it's all evenly covered, and a little bit around the sides, and let that rest for 1 hour. Now that will form a brine because it'll help pull out more whey out of the cheese, and it certainly has. You can see a lot more moisture there. Now I'm just turning the colic over, and I'm going to sprinkle the other side with a teaspoon of salt as well, and allow that to rest for an hour. So this is just coarse non-iodized salt. There we go. I thought there was about a teaspoon. Now I didn't need to rub it because I had distributed it quite evenly, which was good. A little bit of a split there, I don't know what's going on, but it seems to be working alright. So I just let it flip. I flipped it over again just so it held its shape a little bit better. Pop the umbrella on top, keep any flies off. Don't want a casu marzu going on. And then it's all ready. After that hour, it's now ready to eat. As you can see there, I've freshly cut it. Now this will store in the kitchen fridge in containers and eat it within 5 days because it's a fresh, very moist cheese. So here's the cheese freshly cut. It looks amazing. There are, you know, because I use pasteurised milk, it's nice, kind of firm texture. A little bit of, this is just from the way it was, well, not pressed, I suppose. And it's got just some open texture there. But yeah, that's fine, absolutely fine for a fresh cheese. This will last about 5 days in the kitchen fridge, so I wouldn't go any further than that as far as storage. Back in the old days, I sound like an old bloke. Well, I am. Back in the old days, the cheese would have been left at room temperature for about 3 days-ish, and it would have got some wild yeasts on it and gave it a little bit more funk. It's a little bit of an acidic cheese. The pH at eating should be about 5.0, so you can aim for that target if you like. So, without further ado, let's eat some of this lovely cheese. I'll put the slab over there on the plate. We'll get another little triangle. It's a bit moist, so I'm going to have to store it in a plastic container in the fridge. But being a fresh cheese, you know, this is very similar to queso fresco without the pressing. So a lot of moisture in this cheese. All right, so let's just move the cheese out the way. And have a little bit of a slabber, a bit of a taste. And the doggos are right, waiting for the cheese to fall on the ground. Anyway. Oh, I like the tang to it. Nice. Very nice indeed. Lovely. Little bit of a rind, but not much. What's it like with a cracker? So it's a creamy, little bit of a tang. Yeah, this is nice. Nice cheese. Yeah, that's really, really good. Great for fresh cheese. I didn't think it'd have that sharpness, acidity to it. I think the salt's just right, which is fantastic. You know, I put a teaspoon on the top, teaspoon, left it for an hour, teaspoon on the bottom, left it for another hour, and she's good to go. A lot of moisture still coming out of it, so I might have to put some, put the rest of a cheese on a cheese mat in a ripening box and then put that in the kitchen fridge. Not the cheese cave, it's not going to ripe, it's too moist. It'll get infected with all sorts of bad things. But yeah, there's a little bit of whey still weeping out of it. That's because it's unpressed. It's an unpressed cheese. No weight on it whatsoever. That's really good. I think Kim's going to be impressed with that one. Now this would go perfect with herbs, spices on top of it, served with it, that sort of thing. It'll really lend itself to other flavours, maybe even some garlic powder. But being a fresh cheese, you really don't have to worry about sanitising all those herbs and stuff. You know, just eat this like any normal fresh cheese. So I hope you found the video informative. If you did, don't forget to subscribe if you can, and hit the little like button. And let me know in the comments what you think about the simplicity of this lovely little tangy English old style cheese called Colwick. If you want to get any of the supplies that I used to make this cheese, and there weren't very many of course, but you can pop over to littlegreenworkshops.com.au, and if you're in the US, pop on over to my Amazon store. The link is down in the description down below. All right, thanks for watching, Curd Nerds, and I'll see you next time. Oh. Yeah, doggos, you want a piece? There you go. You scruffy muttleys. I like salty, tangy cheese curds. Oh, so good. I wonder if you could put this with poutine. Probably could. That's beautiful. So easy to make. No back pain while making it. It's just so good.